Yo, what's going on YouTube? Today we're back with another episode of Grab or Gross, and this is an interesting week because this week it is a level 4, set 4, whatever you want to call it, card that's being released called Ravonna Renslayer. But before we get into her, we're going to be talking about the other two cards that you can potentially be grabbing this week or grossing out on. One of them is one of the most powerful cards in the entire game, so it's going to be an interesting week. Let's get into it. All right, first up, we're going to start with this Jean Grey here. Jean Grey, if you have Jean Grey, the variant here is Mukesh Singh is the artist here. It's a very sparkly variant. If you don't know what Jean Grey does, ongoing players must play their first card here each turn if possible. She's a playable card, especially in like Silver Surfer or control decks. You know, she's not a bad card. If you don't have her, I don't know if she's necessarily a must-have grab though, and I don't know if this variant is a must-have grab. It's decent. I think once it's leveled, it could be pretty. It could pop off pretty well. But I don't particularly play Jean a lot, so for me, I would just pass and not necessarily be a full-blown gross out on Jean Grey, but not something I'm going to go out of my way to grab in a spotlight cache specifically. I would definitely not do that and gross out on this one if we're going to go that way. All right, next up we have one of the most powerful and best cards in the entire game, and that is Zabu. Ongoing, your 4 cost cards cost 1 less. Minimum 1. The art on this one is done by Fiona. I'm gonna get this name wrong, but I think it's Saya. I'm not sure, and I don't want to say it wrong. I want to make sure you get full credit there. This is a beautiful card here. I love the background. Just the way the hair looks here on Zabu is really good. I think that'll pop off once you get it leveled up. Zabu is a card that I use a ton. I have the Dan Hip Zabu. And of course I have the one that came with the battle pass, the Zabu release month. I do not have the robot looking one here, but this one right here, I would, as much as I love my Dan Hip Zabu, I would put this one as the best variant for Zabu. I just think this is a very, very cool looking card and definitely a grab. If you don't have Zabu, 100% a grab. This is the best card this week. It's better than the featured card. It's better than Jean Grey by far. This is a must-have card in your Marvel Snap collection. So if you do not have this in your collection, definitely try to grab it this week. All right, and that leads us to the featured card this week. Again, it's a set 4 card. It's a 3/3 Ravonna Renslayer. Ongoing, your cards with 1 or less power cost 1 less. This is the base card right here. I think it's really cool. And this is the Pantheon, which is the one, if you buy her for tokens, that you would get if you open her in a spotlight cache. It's pretty cool, I think. It pops off. But yeah, back to the OG one, which is the one we'll be getting. Now, for a full list of cards that she will affect, Drew Berry on the X app helped everyone out with this list here. It's very good. The Collector, Forge, Angela, Morbius, Adam Warlock, Psylocke, Bucky Barnes, Black Widow, Ironheart, Morph, Mystique, Green Goblin, Bishop, Wolfsbane, Patriot, Cerebro, Mr. Negative, Darkhawk, Jubilee, Dracula, Hobgoblin, Taskmaster, White Tiger, Kang, Iron Man, and Arnim Zola. So you could definitely see some pathways here for her to be useful. You could run a Goblin deck. You could run a Cerebro deck. You could run a Patriot deck and reduce the cost for Mystique and Patriot, or Cerebro and Mystique. It makes Morph very much playable at 2 cost. A 4 cost Iron Man's always good. 5 cost Zola is really good. So she has potential. I just don't see. At first I thought, man, Mr. Negative, you know, you could, but it doesn't really. I mean, you can't play Mr. Negative any sooner because she's a 3 cost. You can't get her out any sooner than turn 3. So it'll be everything after turn 3. So basically, I would just I don't know. I was sitting there this weekend trying to figure out I have a couple of deck ideas, but I just don't know if she's going to be useful enough to want to spend a spotlight cash on. Now, if you have a lot of tokens sitting around, I would suggest buying her for 3,000 tokens and being done with that. That was 100% be what I would do, and then you could play around with her, and you're not really out anything. But if you're gonna try to go out of your way and take your chance, and she might be the fourth card in your spotlight caches, definitely not worth it. I would definitely gross out on that. But if you have a lot of tokens, I would suggest buying her for 3,000, and then you could play around with some potentially fun deck ideas. The only problem is with Mobius coming out next week, like, we'll talk about next week, is going to be a must-have. Like, I just don't know how good she's going to be, but I think she could be fun, especially for the week. And I say that knowing Mobius is coming out next week and that everybody's going to be playing him. So I don't know. Yeah, I would grab her for 3,000 tokens if you have a bunch of tokens, but if you don't, I would gross out on getting her out of spotlight caches. All right, so let's go over again. 100% grab for Zabu, 100% gross for Jean Grey, and 100% gross for Ravonna Renslayer. If you have tokens though, like abundance of tokens like I got, and a lot of other people, grab her for tokens, have some fun with her, and do your thing, you know. And let's try to change the meta, because right now I'm burnt out. Like, I'm burnt out of Galactus and High Evolution. I'm just burnt out. So hopefully some cards here coming out will change the meta again, because the current meta is the worst. It's just the worst. I'm literally, and I hate this because I love Marvel Snap, I'm just not having any fun. So let me know in the comments below what you think about the current state of the game and the meta where it's at, and let me know what you think about these cards and if you're going to grab them or gross out on them. Yeah, and if you need more butt content, I stream on Twitch every day but Sunday, so come hang out over there. We have a great community. We have a Marvel Snap Discord as well, so all my links are below in the description of the video. Come follow me on all my socials, and until next time, you can catch me right here, same buck time, same buck channel.